Hey everybody, today we're working on John Deere la115. Originally come to me, had an oil leak over here. And I'll go ahead and show you where this was in case anybody else viewing this is having this problem. There's a breather hose right here. This had popped off. And I'd already pressure washed everything. You can kind of see some of the residual maybe up in here. But this whole chassis and the top of the mower deck was just caked with this oil and like grass clippings and dust and everything. We're just all kind of just kept packing together. Well, I got this fixed, and we were going to change the oil on it and get it back in service. And it was parked right over there beside the trampoline, and it made it to right here before the drive belt broke. I do not have that with me today. I got everything else for it, except that did not show up with everything else. It is at my post office, but my post office is closed. It's a small post office, and I've got a notification in my mail saying they have a package that I have to pick up. So everything else is here but that. So this is probably going to be a two-part video. I've got a kit that's got the fuel filter in it, the air filter, a spark plug, and an oil filter. We've got new oil for it. And I'm going to do a little bit of sanding and painting on this. It's just going to be putting a little lipstick on it. Just where there's not paint, we're going to put paint. It's got some here underneath the seat where the springs are. Clean that up a little bit, get some paint on it. Along right here, just to keep this from just turning into a rusted out piece of junk. Now, I've already got the deck off of it. We're going to replace a pulley on the deck. It's making a little noise. I'm going to hit this with the wire wheel and get this all cleaned up, primered, and paint. This is the paint I'm going to be using here. I've got a rust preventative sandable primer, which I'm not sanding it. I've got the yellow, John Deere yellow paint, and then I've got John Deere green. There. I'm just going to be brushing it on the deck. This isn't going to be for show. It's just going to try to keep the rot out of it. It's also got a few cracks here in the deck. One right here. I'm going to try to straighten that up a little bit and weld that back together. There's a crack right here that's forming, and I don't know if it's showing up. It's kind of shooting up through here too. I'm going to clean this up a little bit and put a weld on it. It's been patched here before, but you can see where it's cracking around the weld. I'm just going to run back over this, try to bring that all back together. The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this wire wheel to it and clean all the loose rust off of it. I have already pressure washed all this and got it all cleaned up just to kind of see what we got going on. I didn't see any of this until I pressure washed all the caked on grass and everything that was under here. But this has to be addressed, or this deck is probably going to rot out and have big holes in it here before too long. Okay, we got our kit here. This come from Amazon. It's got a new air filter and pre-filter in here. There's a new spark plug, new fuel filter. There's a new oil filter in this box here. It all seems to be made pretty well. I've got a jug of genuine Briggs oil. Alright, first thing I'm going to do Pull this out. Lay this down here somewhere. It's a little bit low. This is our oil drain. Pull and work that off. And there goes our oil. While that oil's draining, we're going to pull this air filter housing off here. There we go. Couldn't remember how that went. The air filter in this thing has completely collapsed. There's our pre-filter. Also pretty dirty. Grab our new air filter here. Put that in there. Pretty simple task to do. Fits in there pretty snug. Get that to latch there. That was in pretty terrible shape. Alright, this is down to a drip here. The owner of this informed me that because it was leaking oil, they were topping it off with used motor oil out of the car. So what I'm going to do here, and I doubt this has been changed in some time, is I have some really cheap generic oil here that I'm just going to pour in here and run this thing for a little bit to kind of flush it out, get all that junk out of it, and I'll drain it again before I truly change the oil. See if it's showing. Oh yeah, actually I think it's kind of over full, but I'm going to start this up. Alright, it's been about 20 minutes or so with this sitting here just idling. I'll go ahead and drain the flush oil out of it. Oh, it's actually pretty dark for clean oil. Well, it's good we did that. Alright, while our oil's sitting here dripping, I'm gonna go ahead and change this plug out here. Okay, that broke loose. that. Oh, carbon deposits and stuff on it. Alright, going in with our new one. Got a little dielectric grease here. Put a little in the boot. I'll smush that around in there. Alright. That's still dripping a little bit. I'm probably just going to let it go. And go around and change the fuel filter. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and pre-fill this oil filter here a little bit before before we change the fuel filter here. There's that. Help it get started. Alright. On this guy here, I'm gonna use these pliers here to pinch the fuel lines so we don't lose any more fuel than necessary. You don't have to do this, but I prefer to try to keep gas off of the paint. If I can help it. The paint on this, a lot of these modern machines, is not very good. It just wants to peel and flake right off. That's why this thing looks the way it does. Paint used to stay. They've gotten cheaper or something with their processes of it. See machines all the time that are not all that old and the paint's just coming right off of them in sheets. That's why I don't care to go out and buy anything new. Everything's just made so cheaply anymore. Try to hold this fuel filter out to where it's not dripping so much on the mower. That drain out. Now you can see in the color on these, they get dark like this. This is when they're starting to plug up with stuff. There's also an arrow on your fuel filter. The camera's probably not picking it up, but there's an arrow pointing this way. Fuel flows that way. Goes in here, comes out here. This is our pump here to the carburetor, and then this line here goes back to the tank. So we want to get it in facing this way. Snug that up. Get that one in. Go ahead and take these clamps off and get them out of my way. Okay. I'd actually like that to be on there a little further. Get this clamp up a little further too. I think somebody's changed this before. They usually don't have these worm type clamps on it. They have these here. So I know somebody's been in it before. I like the worm type better. Let's see if I can. Yeah, there we go. Get that up in there a little bit more. Should be good. Alright, let's see if that. Nope. Let's try that again. Okay. This is John Deere. Well, eyeball our filters here. Hey, look, this one's a little bit smaller. Transfer some oil over. A little bit of dirt on here. Where'd my rag go? Old microfiber here. Almost looks like there's some sludge building up here on the bottom. There we go. Probably write the date on here when I'm done. That way everybody knows when it was changed last. Alright, let's add our oil to it. You don't need a funnel this big, but this was the closest one to me, so that's the one I'm using. I'm not sure how much this one holds, so I'm going to go until it feels right. Check it. Funneling this bottle here so don't go absolutely everywhere. Needs more. It's right at the full mark. We'll start it and recheck it. I'll set this down before it falls over. See if it's drawing fuel okay through the new filter. Not seeing anything yet. Might take it a second. There it is, I see it at the bottom. Start to pull fuel. There it goes. Better hurry up before the bowl runs empty. Check her oil. I don't know if you can see that, but it's right at about the bottom of the OK mark. I'm going to add a little bit more to it. Okay, I just threw a little bit more oil in there. A little bit over full. That's okay, that ain't gonna hurt nothing, just to be a hair. Alright, now we're moving on to cleaning up this deck. Using a angle grinder with this wire cup wheel attachment here. Probably a good idea to wear safety glasses and gloves and maybe even a respirator if you want to. But the biggest thing to remember is watch out for these little bolts sticking up. When this grabs onto that, fling, it's going to take off flying on you. So be very careful getting up close to anything, because this thing's just going to want to go. And I just also noticed another crack right there. So we need to address those. I'm going to get started cleaning this up. Now I don't have a tripod anymore, it broke. So I'm going to put you all down while I clean this up with this. I'll be right back with you. Alright, I went over it with the wire wheel. I know it's not down to clean metal necessarily. The idea of it was just to knock as much of the loose rust off before we paint it. I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time under here. I'm going to take the flat disc on the grinder now. Clean these areas up so I can get the welder on it. Alright, we got it welded up. They're not the prettiest welds that you'll ever see. I've got a flux core welder and I was having trouble with it. At first I was plugged into a breaker down at the basement and it kept throwing the breaker. I wasn't getting enough amperage to the welder. It was just puddling up on top, not burning in. Finally went to another outlet, started getting adequate power, but I was having wire feed issues, which I was having on the other breaker too. It'd shoot out some wire and then it'd just stop. And then I'd have to take a pair of pliers and pull on the wire, and there'd be like a little squiggly piece of wire get caught, and then it'd start feeding again, and then it'd stop. Then it finally started feeding wire okay. Got that, and I did the best I could with it. I'm not any professional welder by any means, but it is a far cry better than it was, and these are burnt in halfway decent. That's actually still kind of hot. I'm gonna blow off some of this trash that's on here. And we'll start brushing on some paint. Alright, we got our paint here. Some on the brush. Spread that out. Probably do a couple coats with this. I'll get my lid here out of the way. Alright, we finished getting our first coat of primer on. Gonna have to let this cure, and then we'll come back and do a second coat, and then once it cures we'll put the yellow on. Flip it over and then do the top. Alright, we've about got the first coat on the top part of the deck done. We got the second part underneath. This primer is taking a lot longer to dry than I was expecting. The owner doesn't know that I'm painting this. I'm purely paying for this out of my own pocket. I offered to paint it and told them how much it would be, and of course did not want to dump that much money into the machine. However, this machine is still a pretty solid machine, and I just don't want to see it rot away on them. So doing this is going to add a few more years to it. A little bit of lipstick on it. I mean, I didn't have to buy the John Deere paint, colored paint for the deck. I could have just primered it, you know, and it would have made it better. But I figure since I'm here, I might as well put some lipstick on it and make it a little bit better. Pretty rusty under here. I'm not gonna sand it or anything. It would make it last a little longer to sand this off, but this is just a quick job. They need the mower back. And this, even though this rust under there, this will seal it off from the weather and make it last a little longer.
You know, it is what it is. But I figure while the deck is still pretty solid, it's a good idea to get some paint on it. This is the kind of thing our grandfathers would have done back in the day, taking care of their equipment and stuff like that. You can paint machines with a brush. There's all kinds of tractors and stuff out there that's been brush painted, especially if you find one that belonged to an old farmer or something from a long time ago. I have a feeling there's a lot of people out there going, oh, well, you should, you know, sand that and sandblast it or whatever, and, you know, paint it with this, that, or the other, and blah, 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 blah. Well, not everybody's got the money to do blah, 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 blah. This is about the cheapest and most effective way, quickest anyway, effectiveness to paint something is just a can of paint and a brush. Well, this is farm implement paint, so it's a good durable paint. I mean, you can spend more time doing prep work and stuff on it if you like, but I think this is going to suit the purpose of this machine. There's our first coat. Okay, well, the primer's drying on the mower deck. I'm going to move over here to the tractor. We're going to do this a little less quick and dirty than we did the deck. I am going to sand on this a little bit, and then we're going to remove these foot pads here so I can get the loose paint and everything and get painted under these. I've seen where these here rust out underneath this, and then this just becomes soft. So I'm going to try to prevent that. I don't think we're going to get too into it, but I am going to try. This is pretty much strictly for rust prevention to keep this from disintegrating. Underneath here, to take these off, there's these little squeeze tabs. You just kind of got to squeeze them and then push them back up through their holes. There's several of them. There goes that one. There goes that one. Like so. There's another one up there. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. 8 little push-in tabs. Oh no, I'm missing one. You can see the grease under here. This is what the mower deck and everything look like too. This is oil mixed with grass clippings. How many is there? 4, 6, 8, 6, 7, 8, 9. There's 9 clips. See, this is a problem on this with those plastic things. Look at this. Oh, look at that. Yeah, this needs paint on it. Yeah, check this one out. This one come off and took the paint with it. Just a sheet of paint. This one's a little harder to do because of the throttle down there. But the same thing. You just gotta get around the throttle. Just lifts right off. I wish they would do a better job painting these. Sheets of paint. Alright, I'm just going to use a scraper here to get, yeah, look at that. Ain't that terrible? This is how they paint these new things. This tractor's not all that old. I'll get you the year it was made. Look at that. This goes right up underneath it. You can tell it's been loose for a while because it's rusted underneath the paint. That's why these tractors disintegrate. Yeah, you shouldn't be able to take paint off of much of anything with a scraper like this. I'm gonna wash this down and wet sand this. Alright, I got my little sander here. Just gonna water. Water helps keep the sandpaper clean. I think we already chewed through that one. That didn't take long. I'm not painting this whole fender. I just want to get where I am painting brushed up just a little. And I'm going to blend it in. Try to blend it into the existing paint just a little bit. I'll touch it up back here too. Going through that one.
here. That's about smooth. Do that again. Okay. Get under the seat here a little bit. Might have to hand sand these a little bit in that concave area. I'm not going for perfection. We're just cleaning this up a little bit. Okay. Well, I ended up taking the seat off of it. So I was drying it with my air gun. Paint started flaking from here. And the more I dried and stuff like that, the more and more paint blew off. It all just kept growing. Just kept growing and growing. All that paint was loose. So I'm gonna mask off a little bit, and I'm just gonna paint over what's there and hopefully seal it up for a little while to where this doesn't rot out near as fast. Well, the first coat's on. It's not perfect, and you can definitely tell the difference between the new paint and how this is faded. It's the same shade of green, of course, just one's faded. It definitely looks a whole lot better than it did. What this thing really needs is to have the seat pan pulled off of it and all the plastic and everything removed, and to pretty much strip down to bare metal and primered and then painted. But you know, where do you stop? This will be good enough for a little while. I'm gonna get the second coat on it here real quick. All right, I went ahead and just put a coat of paint all over all of it. Went over it with the sander, just kind of light sandpaper, went all the way over it, all the places in between. Definitely looks a whole lot better. If you're all the way across the yard, it looks pretty darn good. But this should add some life to the mower, keep this from rotting out as fast. Look a little bit better mowing the yard with it anyway. It's got some shine now. This primer's still tacky. I'm probably gonna have to wait until tomorrow to put the yellow on this, but I'm still waiting on the drive belt kit, and that's gonna have to wait until Monday. So we'll leave this here, and we'll finish this up on the next video. Thanks for watching, guys. If you like this, please like and subscribe. All right, it's time for some yellow paint. Right there. Oh yeah, look at that. Don't that look good?